New developments in the investigation into Operation Fast and Furious. Brand new questions this hour following Congressman Darrell Issa's decision to consider postponing next week's contempt of Congress vote against Attorney General Eric Holder. This only if Holder releases more Justice Department documents on the botched gun-running sting operation. Holder says he is prepared to make the accommodation in order to resolve the matter amicably. But will the deal be enough to stop Wednesday's vote? Congressman Dan Burton, who serves on the committee that will make that decision, joins us live. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. Surely appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Given how very long Holder has been, to use your committee's word, stonewalling, are you skeptical that he's going to be forthcoming?
I'm very skeptical. I was chairman of that committee for 6 years, and I had to deal with Eric Holder before. And I think he's a very smart politician, and I think he'll do everything he can to drag this out as long as possible.
Right.
And if he continues, what will happen is we'll run out of time.
Well, if you examine Holder's conciliatory words, and I did, when finally the last time he testified, he said, okay, I'll do a deal. I mean, he's parsing words there. It arguably sounds as if he's willing to hand over some, but not all. Are you concerned, Congressman, that, he could play the old shell game, hide the incriminating stuff, assuming that even exists, and maybe it doesn't, but only produce that which is exculpatory or irrelevant?
Yeah, Greg, I think he will do that. I think he'll give whatever he just has to keep this thing bumping along. But I have great confidence in Darrell Issa, the chairman, and I think he'll be very tenacious in pushing this and making sure he gets what the committee wants.
What do you think Holder is hiding?
I think people at the very top of the Justice Department knew about Fast and Furious. I think they were involved in the decision-making process, and I can't believe that Eric Holder himself was not aware of what was going on.
So when he said he wasn't, do you think he was lying?
Well, he's, in my opinion, misled the committee in the past. When I was chairman, he did that. And I think that he'll do whatever's necessary to extend this, because we have an election coming up, and if he could drag it on for another month or two, it'll be too late to get it done this session.
It would appear that Congressman Issa has affidavits in support of wiretap apps. Do they show that high-level officials at Justice did indeed know exactly what was going, and they knew it early on, and would that belie Holder's testimony?
I believe they did, but Darrell will have to make that statement. He's the chairman of the committee, and he's listened to those. And it would be my opinion that if we don't get the documentation that we want from the Justice Department and Eric Holder, he'll push and push until we get them.
Yeah.
And if not, we'll move a contempt citation.
But look, aren't those affidavits troublesome for you in order to prove that Holder may not be telling the truth? Because, I mean, arguably, those were illegally leaked. I'm not sure they can be used, can they?
Well, they might not be able to be used in the court of law, but if we have a committee hearing and we find that those are relevant to the investigation, we can sure bring that up, and we can go ahead and move a contempt citation if Holder's not being compliant.
Yeah. All right, let's assume on Tuesday he hands over not all of the documents, but most of the documents. That's still a lot of documents for you all to go through before the Wednesday vote. Can that be done, or is it your intention to just go ahead with the vote?
Well, that's up to Darrell Issa. I don't believe that Eric Holder is going to give us all the documentation we want. He'll give us whatever he has to at this point, and I think that the chairman will then have to make a decision on whether or not that's adequate. I do not believe it will be, but it will probably allow Eric Holder to get a postponement for a short period of time.
Real quick one, because I'm out of time, but Congressman Quigley on your committee, a Democrat, Illinois, said that this entire probe by your committee is, quote, politically motivated in an attempt to embarrass the administration. Is there some truth to that?
No, I don't believe so. We had a Border Patrol agent killed by some of those guns that were moved across the border. We need to find out what happened, why it happened, and make sure it doesn't happen ever again.
All right. Congressman Burton, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.